let me put in here. At the 49-minute mark, 6 South African forwards walked onto the field. Is that what the replacement laws for safety were designed for? And that is not any criticism of South Africa. It's not a criticism of Rassie. It's a criticism of World Rugby that allows that to happen. That is not what our game is designed for. The South Africans took full advantage of a loophole in the system, and that penalty try came from.
Well, why do you not like that at all, even though it's within the games? Why? Like, I know we've talked about this before in the past, but what is the biggest bugbear of having 6 forwards come onto the pitch?
Well, there's multiple things with it, Stu. Multiple things. It discriminates against backs. Our game is for all shapes and sizes. So in that game, you had 14 forwards in that game. That is not what our game was designed for. That's not what the ancients designed for it. It's not what we did in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. It is not a game for 14 forwards and 9 backs. It should be relatively even. It's never been 50-50 because, we have an 8 and 7. But that is not what it is. The other thing is the bench was a safety law. As I've said to you, one of my clubmates became a quadriplegic. The bench was a safety law. That is not safe, what they did. And maybe not at international level, but down the lower levels of the game. Right? I won't stop saying this, Stu, because I passionately believe it. But that, and bringing replacements on at that time, just so close in the second half, that's not what it's about. Now, the whole replacement laws, they say, are going to be reviewed in November, and they need serious review because this is abusing what our game is meant to be. It's abusing our ethos, it's abusing our traditions, and it's abusing our safety laws, and it has to change. I have no criticism of South Africa or Rassie for doing it because it's legal. But you can see Ireland have gone to 6-2. Teams across the world are going to 7-1, 6-2. That is not what our game is meant to be, and the law has to be changed. Not the coaches. The coach's job is to win the game. The responsibility sits with World Rugby.
Alan, do you want to pick up on that? I know you're maybe not as strong on that. Do you believe it still should be 5-3? No. Do you 6-2, 7-1? Are you happy with whatever?
I don't know really. I think, look, I agree with the point. I've always spoken about safety and ways of improving the safety of players, and we've seen lots of great improvements around the HIAs and all that and the protocols there. Look, I suppose in a sense, when you have that kind of depth, South Africa can do that.
How big an effect did you think those 6 forwards had on the game yesterday for the last half an hour?
Well, I think Ireland, if you're just fresh players coming on, like, it has to have an effect. I think it had an effect with that scrum at the end, that dominance, and we know that's in their DNA.
Ireland did win a scrum penalty straight away.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and I thought that was a big psychological one because that's the one I was really tuned in on. This new front row in, new second rows back row, and you're thinking this is the one that Rassie wants to make a statement here, and that's why he's done this. But Ireland won a scrum penalty, so look, it's a complex situation. I think it's something that will possibly change because of safety and reducing impacts in the game. Well, Rassie mentioned Matt in his book about supporting him and when he did his videos, but the South Africans don't like him for talking about the 7-1. And I very much respect Matt's decision, but
he's always stuck by it.
I think, look, if you have that sort of luxury, again, it's within the law to bring on these players. We saw it was before my time, but it wasn't that long ago where you could only make changes for injuries and stuff like that. And we could end up going back to that situation at some time in the future because, fatigue and all that kind of stuff, and the impacts and the strength of all these players. So it's the Bomb Squad was made famous in 2019 for what they did and their impacts off the bench. But look, you need replacements. I don't think you're going to get to a situation where it's going to be difficult for World Rugby to say, well, you can only bring on 3 subs in a game. But I think it will be looked at, it will be discussed at, and all these working groups involve international coaches, ex-players, delegates from World Rugby as well. So it's something that may, be looked at for sure going forward.
Al, what concerns me, just to clarify, I don't think this is going to get an injury at international rugby. I don't think Tate Furlong was in danger of getting injured. What concerns me, when an international team does it, everyone copies it. That's the way the world is. We copy our heroes and our grades. What concerns me is what happens down in lower grades at the AIL, in clubs in South Africa and Australia with the bottom line. Late in the game, 6 players come on and there's some guy fatigue. That's what concerns me.
Yeah, I think all the unions and different leagues have different protocols around that. You know, in junior rugby in Ireland, they actually have 5, I think, subs is all, or 6 maybe, and they have actually rolling subs. So, and that's really because it's amateur rugby and guys are not fit enough and they get blown out and you can roll on and off subs. So it's a very complex one. I think we need to probably see more data as regards you know, the impact of this freshness coming off the bench. But look, in a sense that, and the reality here is, South Africa have so many powerful forwards, and what Rassie Erasmus and the rest of his coaches have developed is huge depth. You know, in positions that a lot of other international teams would love to have, and they just have so many of those big, powerful, strong players. So it's probably about seeing data and stuff like that, but they're not doing anything wrong, illegal, and you know,
100%. 100%.
And it's in some ways, they've started a trend as regards, you know, it's brave because bringing on subs, you know, as a coach, Matt, they don't always work out either. You know, sometimes when I found this as a player, you know, the engine is well and truly humming, and you have that adrenaline rush, and actually, you know, when subs come on, you nearly get another surge of energy to go. But like, it's the strength and the power of South Africa that they possess.